Welcome everyone to our Brick by Brick Builders Club. And during each of these sessions, we take deep dives into the technical, creative process of builders, creators, and innovators in Decentraland. So for today, I'm excited to welcome Mease. He's the jack of all trades and project manager for Last Slice Studios. And today, like we were saying, we will take a deep dive into a variety of topics. So yeah, buckle up. So depending on where the rabbit hole takes us, we'll probably go to DCL worlds, AI, lore establishment, maybe the wiki, building a Decentraland. Yeah, there's so much good stuff. So I'm very excited. And yeah, Mees, one thing I would love to start out with for people who don't know who you are, maybe start off a little bit with your journey into Decentraland and how you connected up with Last Slice. I'd love to hear about that.
Totally. So I kind of started getting into crypto towards the end of 2020 is when I started doing my research. And I started out just doing really crypto. I think it was like through like Robinhood. And so, wasn't really owning my own crypto or having it in my possession. And I realized that, in the first month or two. And so I decided that, hey, I should probably learn some more about this. And so, the more I started to learn about it, the more excited and interested I became in it. And so, it probably took me, I'd say about January is when I started, kind of maybe February is when I started, getting into crypto on my own as far as, actually having it and all that kind of stuff and getting a MetaMask wallet. And then about March is when I got into Decentraland. And so kind of what drove me into all of it was, I did photography. I started volunteering for environmental organizations. I want to say it was like 2017, maybe 2018. And I would go out on these walks and these hikes, with groups of people like biologists and just people that are very passionate about nature. And we'd be out there and all these people would have binoculars and they'd have cameras. And I had like my cell phone. And so, people would be talking about all these different animals and all this other kind of stuff. And, I have to imagine like what it is they were talking about. Number one, I didn't even know what the animals were half the time because I had no idea. And then two, I didn't have anything to really like zoom in or get up close or really see any details or anything like that. And so I kind of felt left out. And so I was like, you know what? I started researching and people were like, oh, you got to spend like $500 on some binoculars. And I was like, that's like a lot of money, So I looked into it and I was like, if I'm going to spend like $500 on binoculars, I probably should have spent a little more money and get like a camera. So I ended up getting like a Sony mirrorless, something like $1,000 to get like a kit. And that's how I got started with photography. And all that happened, really, the craziest thing happened the day before pretty much that made me decide to do that. I missed out on so many opportunities. It's pretty much just FOMO, right? So I missed out on so many opportunities of just crazy things happening out in the wild that I tried to capture with my phone, but I could not. And I would show my friends and family afterwards, and I would try to tell them the story of like what happened. And they'd just be like, they couldn't see anything. There was just way too far away, no details. And so I was like, man, how can I share this with other people? And, how can I share some of these or keep some of these memories, for myself? And so I just want to briefly cover this. So the event that happened, there's two different things. One is I got to go on like a private tour of some land. That's one of the benefits of my volunteer work was I got to go on a lot of private land and I got to go to a lot of places that most people are not allowed to go to. And so that was really awesome. And so one of the things was that we had some red-tailed hawks. And so they had a nest. And in our area where I live here in South Florida, they're very rare. They're a lot more common in different parts of Florida and definitely in the northern, or at least north of me in the United States. We have a lot of red-shouldered hawks here. And the red tails were like very rare. So unfortunately, I missed this opportunity to photograph them. They had a nest and like they were flying around and all kinds of stuff. And they really put on a show for us. So I missed that. And then the next thing was we have some kites here. And so we have like swallow-tailed kites. And they actually come from Brazil. So we have these birds and they fly from Brazil every year. And they make their trip. They fly straight like the whole time. They fly like they'll go sometimes north, like to maybe not quite to Mexico, but then they cut over the Gulf. And so these birds can literally fly the whole time nonstop, and they just eat in the air, and they can catch thermals and just like drift. And then they do like circles in the air. And so that's kind of how they fly around and travel. And so we had these kites that we were viewing, and they had their nesting areas. We have where I live here in Southwest Florida is like one of the #1 nesting areas for them in the country. They used to be in like 15 or 20 different states. Now they're really, I don't know, maybe like 7, maybe about the same, but like predominantly maybe like 6 states. And so we had like 30 plus nests in our area, which is like a very small area. So that was, really an interesting opportunity, that I got to see. And so while we were doing that, we encountered another bird. So these were white birds, these swallow-tailed kites. And let me see if I'll pull up a picture for you real quick. So these swallow-tailed kites, I was looking at these white birds. At this time, I really didn't know the difference of like different birds. And there was another smaller white bird that came along, and it looked like a parakeet. And like, I thought it was. I was like, what is this thing? It was like much smaller than these birds. These swallowtails are very large compared to what, maybe looking at here. And I was like, and you had these calls. I didn't know any of the calls back then either. And, everyone that I was with, they were all, it was like 12 to 14 people that were on this group. And a lot of them were birders, and they were, I think we had like a biologist or two. And so, these people were well versed, and they seemed perplexed as well by what was going on. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, how do these people not know, what this thing is? And so it really didn't get close to us at all. We kind of just heard it and saw it at a distance and all that kind of stuff, and didn't really think a whole lot of it. And so we were just going on this tour, and it would randomly just like follow us kind of, but like pop up at a distance and make some noise, and, to where it'd catch our attention, and we would look around, but, wouldn't really see it. Well, what ended up happening was we got into like an open area, and it followed us there too. It followed us for hours. Just so you know, this is like
awesome.
2 hours. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, why is this bird following us? And like, but it was like stalking us. It wasn't like, yeah. So couldn't really figure that out. So then the bird started like circling us, and so I told people, I was like, hey, put out your. It had some like hiking sticks that were natural wood that some of the people used. And so they held it up like, horizontally in the air. And actually this bird came and landed on someone. Yes, on
That's
someone's
so
stick.
Cool.
And it ended up being someone's parakeet, we believe. Yes, that they came out and they released into the wild. Okay, how crazy is that? Now the thing is, okay, so then we found this parakeet that was released in the wild, and we're like, I'm like, how long has this thing survived out here? Like, I mean, typically you have like a house pet or animal or bird that's like, maybe its whole life it was, trained or was in a cage. Like, how long could it possibly survive in the wild? The wild is a very dangerous and unforgiving place. And so this bird, it came and landed on someone's stick, and then it flew off for a little while. And we didn't really think too much of it. We got back to our trip and all this other stuff. And then we were looking at these nests for the swallowtail kites, and we were very distracted. And then we heard this crazy sound, and it was a hawk. So we had this red-shouldered hawk come out of nowhere, and it was chasing the parakeet. We saw like this white thing just dive, and it dove. Yep, and the hawk got the parakeet, and so we caught it right at that moment.
That's like, I was hoping you were going to say, we caught the parakeet and saved it. No, it's dead.
No, unfortunately not. And so, yeah, unfortunately, animals do not survive very long in the wild. They're not trained to do that. And so it's very interesting. I still have no idea to this day, how long it had been there, but I'm so may have released it that day or something. But that was just one of the craziest things I think that's ever happened to me or that had happened to me, prior to that. And I was like, I got to get a camera. So that's kind of, I got it. That's like my photography thing. That's how I got into photography. And so then my photography carried me to my journey with crypto. When I got into crypto, I was actually doing a lot of like Binance stuff, like BNB chain. Mm-hmm. And because the gas was so expensive, I didn't really have a ton of money that I wanted to spend. And like, I was like, maybe I have like $200 or $300 to like invest in myself as an artist. And, I was looking at gas prices back then. Like the cost of mint one was like half that or something. I can't remember. Gas prices were just pretty high, and I didn't know, about how to check gas back then or whatever it was, and what times of the day were the best and that kind of stuff. So every time I would look, I'm like, man, I can't afford this. And so I looked at alternatives. I looked at Binance, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go here. So then I minted on Binance. So I minted my first stuff on Binance, which I didn't know at that time that like there was no market for it whatsoever. And it took me 30 days to figure out that after like going to all the discords for Binance, like NFTs and all this other stuff. And I think in the marketplace at that point too, they had announced that they were going to do like a 1% like creators fee or whatever, like they were changing it. And so I was like, well, I can't, that was one of the things that attracted me to NFTs was the royalties.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no way that I'm going to do like a 1%, because at that time Ethereum was much higher. And so I figured out, I was like, I had no sales, no interest, like didn't really connect with almost any artists. I searched hardcore for a month, and I was on Twitter, all kinds of other stuff. I couldn't find anybody. I was going through like 20, 30 different discords, and there was just nothing, and it was also like international. So there's a lot of people, different languages. Mm-hmm. And I definitely couldn't break into those markets. And so I was like, all right, well, I got to try ETH. And so, at that time, like I was learning NFTs, I started learning about the metaverse. And so it took me about a month or two. And that's why I got in about March of 2021. And so that was kind of my intro to, I bought Mana before I had even set foot in Decentraland. I was like, if I'm going to buy this, I should probably know what it is, or like at least go in once, that's probably a good idea. And so I got in, and I was like, and I loved it. And so I got in, and it's like, I grew up playing video games, and, like my whole life, probably. I think since like 1989, I was like 3 years old, or 88, I was like 2 years old, and I was playing video games. And so my parents always hated it. My mom actually like banned me from computer for 2 years when I was in high school, because I played too many video games, and like
I'm like, the opposite. I'm like, play. Yeah. I know the future. Play. Get good.
Yeah. And so, in middle school, I had a Pokemon website. It's called Pokemon X. Nice. And so I started up with a friend of mine, and we had a business, and it was pay-per-click. And so we actually made like thousands of dollars in middle school off of this Pokemon website. And so I was on Yahoo Auctions, and I was selling Pokemon cards before like eBay became big. And I ended up switching to eBay once eBay became even bigger. So I kind of like had multiple businesses, and I had my own, like I created my own website. I was coding since I was like 12 or 11. I played like Visual Basic and that kind of stuff. And so unfortunately, I lost 2 years of that with not having access to a computer. So that was very, very interesting. Yeah, you lose a lot when you don't use it. Technology advances so fast, even back then, that when you miss out on that much time, it's a big loss. And so I became more social, all that kind of stuff. I still played Xbox all the time. Halo was one of my big games. But when I started playing video games, one of my favorite ones on the computer was EverQuest. And so that came out in 1999. And I played it when it first came out in like March or April of 1999. And I had like 20 friends of mine that all played it. Nice. And what's interesting is the graphics and the feel of that world are to me, like, Decentraland is the most comparable thing that I have seen that is comparable to that. And so I think that, from that first moment that I stepped foot into Decentraland, I knew that, and that's what attracted me there. That's what kind of kept me interested in Decentraland. And yeah, so that's kind of like the intro to my Decentraland journey. Now, as far as like Last Slice, I think it took, I would go to all the events. I was constantly doing stuff in Decentraland. I was going on like every day collecting POAPs back when
those were
all the rage. I want to say I got like 500 or 600 from like 2020.
Damn.
From 2021. Yeah, from 2021 I had like 600 or something. And
you beat me. So I had like 50 maybe tops. 600. Damn, dude.
Yeah.
You were the POAP hunter.
I was. And I was also interested in like the wearables and the NFTs, and like
me too.
I'd seen some of like Peanut Butter's videos on YouTube, and unfortunately I had like just missed out on the the Artifact. Well, I guess it was Artifact back then too. The Artifact original shoes, the purple ones.
I got one of those because I had a MetaKey, and MetaKey let you have, what was it? MetaKey let you, I got the drop from MetaKey, and then I ended up getting a Clone X from MetaKey, if you remember MetaKey. Well, they're still around.
Wow.
They're still around.
That's awesome. Yeah,
but the shoes,
I missed out on that. Yeah.
Which shoes did you get, though? You got any of them or no? Did you get the Artifact shoes? Like the...
Well, I ended up buying some, like eventually when they came out. I bought the green ones, so they were like 50 mana, which is, yeah. So I didn't get anything for free like that. I can't remember, but I did some of his like freebie stuff. I watched his freebie videos, and that's like, so I'd go around, do that. I did like Wonder Mine stuff.
Nice.
And I can't remember, but like I wanted to like try to make some money just like for fun to see if I could do it, because I've always been a collector, and I just want to see, what potential there was to make money in Decentraland, like from that. While I was working on my other stuff. Another thing that brought me into Decentraland was my artwork. As an artist, wildlife photographer, I did some landscapes as well. Actually, I started in landscapes. And what I really wanted to do, like growing up, I always wanted to either like create a video game or, to have like artwork, which I wasn't even an artist growing up. So, but something like that, the equivalent would be like having my artwork in a video game. At that point in time, back in 2021, that was kind of the closest thing that I could come up with, was, hey, I really want to have my artwork displayed in the metaverse. I thought that would be like the coolest thing. And so that was my first goal as an artist in Decentraland, was to find a gallery, right? So like to find a gallery because I didn't have the money back then to buy land. Land was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to go find a gallery. And so I started, searching and talking to people and networking, and actually Orange Joe and I can't remember who owns it, but the Tower, I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. But
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Tower, which was like one of the first NFTs, I think, that was sold, that was a 3D object in Decentraland, that I actually had my artwork in there when that first launched. And I just walked in there, I was talking to him, and he had just sold the place. He was setting it up, and the guy who had purchased it was like, hey, I'm not going to use it really. Or like, he was like, you have good artwork. Why don't you use it? And you have the time. Why don't you, do something with it? And so I talked to him. I was like, what can I do to get my artwork and display it in here? And so I ended up, talking with him, chatting for a while, and we really connected. And so we ended up putting up some of my artwork. And what's crazy is that at that time, like Sotheby's had their place they just came out with, and that was a really big deal for Decentraland. I don't know if you remember, back then.
I've been around about 3.5 years, so.
Yeah, and so that was like, it was in the news, but that was also something that, like my parents who don't know anything about technology, that I could say to them and say, hey, just in this metaverse where my stuff is, Sotheby's is here. And so I actually, I worked in real estate. That was like my regular career for like 15 years until a couple months ago. And Sotheby's, actually, I worked for Premier Sotheby's. So I worked for a company that got bought out by Sotheby's, and they ended up, rebranding it with that. And so they also had the auction house, but, I worked for that company, and my dad actually worked for that company too, briefly, like the 2 weeks, we both left at like the exact same time that we ended up, getting bought out. And so, seeing Sotheby's in the metaverse and like being able to tell my parents that and say, hey, Sotheby's is here, that's a big deal. And what's crazy is, I was watching their traffic and, seeing how many people, they were one of the top places back then, and seeing like what the total number of users was at that time in there. And so what I started doing was I started sitting in the gallery where my artwork was, and I would just hang out in there and start socializing with people. And I remember I'd bring like two different accounts in there just to kind of like boost the numbers, but people just started like flocking in. And then I had just random people, coming in and talking to me and about my work. And it was super awesome. Like I got to meet dozens and dozens of people that were just random foot traffic, like just like I was in a gallery in the real world. And to me, that was like amazing because, I didn't have that opportunity in the real world. COVID was going on back then, so that really wasn't an option. And that was my first like real, I wouldn't say real, but it was like a gallery experience as an artist. And it was in Dececentraland, it wasn't in the real world. And, I ended up becoming, like now I'm a state judge, and I've won all kinds of awards, done different competitions, all that kind of stuff. But, at that time, that was like a huge deal for me. And so that really, what happened to me in Decentraland with my artwork really kept me going as an artist. And,
awesome.
I think it really, and it helped me progress. Like, I don't think there would have been other ways really for me to progress as an artist without Decentraland at that point in time. And so, I'm very thankful that I had it and that I was there, and it really worked out. And so, it's one of those things that I think that it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And so I like I said earlier, I was in coding when I was younger, and, I built websites when I was in like middle school, high school as well. And, where was I going with this? So I, wanted to learn about coding in Decentraland and kind of like learn more on how to build scenes because, even though I didn't own land yet, I kind of wanted to learn more. And so Category 5 was like one of the first people I really, really connected with, like closely, the Metaverse DJ. And I would go to a lot of his stuff, and he was really getting into the...
we have a visitor looking for, is that Lastrom or who is that?
He's got the food. He's got some food. What'd you bring for us?
I love that. That is so cool. Look at that. Yeah. Oh my God. You're making me hungry.
That looks delicious. I'm lucky I just ate.
I know I've been trying to log in right now, but sometimes if I log in while I record and Discord, all hell breaks loose. So I'm really like, I want to jump in, but I don't want to push the Discord gods right now, Yeah,
no worries. I'll run around and, do what we need visually. And so the coding thing, and what's unfortunate, I saw like this Last Slice pizza thing, on the wall at Category 5's place, his original place that he had built out in Genesis. He had a 3x1, and he was, doing lots of different experimental stuff. And I was, really into that, and I got to test a lot of it with him. And so that's kind of what really got me excited about, maybe doing some type of development or just creating in general in Decentraland a different way than just displaying my artwork or anything like that. And unfortunately, what had happened is, I found out just a little too late, and they just sold out of the first like 50 batch of slices. And I was like, man, how do I get one of these things? And so I started like asking around because I'd seen it multiple places. I can't remember where the other places were, but I've been like 2 or 3 different scenes. I was like, this pizza thing keeps happening on the wall with these other NFTs, what is that? So like, I had to ask, I was like, how do I buy one of these? Like, how much is how much does it cost? And nobody would sell theirs.
I know. And I had a friend who had one, and I was like, I want one early in the days too.
And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to sell it? Like there's got to be a price. Like, come on. I really wanted it. I was willing to pay people 2 or 3x of whatever it is, they had paid just so I could like get into it. But no one was willing to sell. And so I had to end up waiting like 4 more months or 3 months till the next batch came out so that I could finally end up joining the Last Slice. And So that's kind of like my intro of how I found out about it and what led me into the last slice, which it's come it's crazy now. Yeah, how far we've come and how far I've come since then as well.
No, I love that. I had no idea. Now I think of I have a whole other idea about your background now. Birds, photos, shows, NFT collecting. I love it. So tell
Yeah,
everybody where we are right now. And I think you said I think on your notes you're saying you're going to do a demo of um, the in-world builder, correct?
yeah. So give me one sec here.
Cool.
So I'm currently in Angzaar, but I'm going to hop out of here real quick, and I'm just going to show you all some real quick stuff for. So I have two projects that I've been working on, and that Last Life also has been working on. And so one of them is the in-world builder, and so I'm going to show you that here in a sec. And then right now where I am, this is Angzaar. And so in Angzaar, we're just kind of getting ready for Christmas. So I'll come back to this here in a second. But I'm going to hop in here to our in-world builder so I can show you all something we've been working on. So our grant, we're probably about maybe 2.5 months in at this point, somewhere around there. And we did do a live demo about 2 weeks ago in the Dow Discord right after the town hall. So I don't know if any of you were there for that, but it went really well.
I missed that one. I was so bummed I had to go to a doctor's appointment, but like I really wanted to go. So I'm glad I get to see this here.
We had like 30 something people showed up. So that was pretty impressive. And it was awesome. We got to get some feedback from some people, and, just seeing that many people interested is really awesome because, for myself, right, at this point in time, I still don't really know. I don't know coding for Decentraland. I'm not a 3D modeler, right? Not yet. And so for me, with those limitations, my desire has always been to build in Decentraland. And so, the goal of, these projects is to help make building easier and better for all the people in Decentraland, to make it more efficient. Some of the things that I experienced, I before I joined Last Slice, like while I was, waiting for the next slices to come out, I had bought some land or deeds in Etheria. And so I bought these deeds, and I was just using the builder. But the builder for me was like, it was a nightmare.
It is.
It was a nightmare. Totally. And so there were some things I just I stumbled on that I couldn't really get past. And between like some of the bugs and the stuff, I remember like I built my whole gallery, and then I was like on a 1x1, and then I ended up getting a 2x1, and they were separate. And I was like, okay, so then I got to build on that. So then I built that. And then I traded someone to move, my land. So then I had a 3x1. So then I had to rebuild it all again. And so I kept doing this like from scratch. Well, right before I got my 3x1 done, I had some errors.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And it ended up being like, I think it was like an NFT frame or something and it was like in a wall. But like I had to delete almost everything one by one to figure it out. Yeah. So I spent like hundreds of hours building, and I had like almost nothing to show for it. And so it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, as an artist to not really be able to do that. And so, my hope and goals were, number one, to try to find a better way to do it myself. And, through being on an amazing team and having a relationship and network with so many artists, like in the Last Slice, that, I felt that we could make things better. And so that was kind of like my inspiration. I think some of, my teammates' inspiration as well, for these projects. We really just want to make the experience better for people building in Decentraland. And so that's our goal.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I have 3 kids in where I live right now, all Roblox and Minecraft builders. They build quickly, instantly, constantly, always, and like I want them to come here and do the same, and something like this is like that step towards it.
Yes. And so another thing real quick before I get into the in-world builder, like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite video games was EverQuest, and so that was in 1999. And actually, I played that. I played like 20 to 30 different servers across like until 2021, maybe. And so I've played a lot, and I played with like some of the top people at the highest level, who some of them were the original devs from 1999 and 2000, and that was really like my favorite game of all time. Now they made a sequel to that game in 2004, and I did play it for like 6 to 12 months. And the game itself really wasn't. It wasn't the same. Wasn't enjoyable. They had the same name, but it really did not feel like it should be in the same. It should have the same name, if that made any sense.
No, yeah, no, I get it. I played a lot of games growing up too. So.
Yeah. Now the thing is, there was one good thing about that game, in my opinion, that I loved, and it was the house. Okay, so you got a house, and you got to decorate and build within your house. And so that is through that experience, it was easy and quick, and I loved it. Like having a virtual house. This was like before The Sims really. I mean, maybe The Sims 1 or 2 was out back then. I played those, but this was like a fantasy version of that, right? Kind of a little different than the real world. And so when I came back, to Decentraland, we were looking at things for In-World Builder. I would say that one of my large inspirations for things considering for the In-World Builder and a lot of things is I went back into EverQuest 2 and went to check out like their housing system and their In-World Builder, because I mean, truly to this day, I tested, I don't know, a dozen other builders for different video games and metaverses. That theirs is still the easiest, the fastest, to do those things, to build. And so that's kind of where I got some of my inspiration. So this is our In-World Builder. So like I said, we're about 2.5 months in at this point in time. And right now where I am this is where everyone comes and lands once we have this established here. And so this is going to be our lobby area. Now, as of right now, we just kind of have our logo here, but we are currently working on a very nice building. I don't want to spoil what's going to be here, but it is in progress, and it looks pretty awesome so far. We've kind of just started probably about 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And so, maybe another 2 to 4 weeks, we will be able to share with you all maybe that completed or almost complete version. I just, it's not at quite the point to where I want to share it yet. But this is going to be like our lobby area. So there'll be a building here. People will come in and they'll be able to socialize, organize, whatever it is they'd like to do. And in addition to that, so we have our own place here, which is In-World Builder, but everyone else is going to get, anyone who comes in here who builds, they're going to be able to access and have their own realm essentially. And so we're going to have people, you could build whatever you would like. And so we've kind of got our builder mode here. And you can see here, we've got our asset catalog. So this is still work in progress. So I just want to please share that with you all that, I just finished not this past weekend, but the one before, going through and getting all the information, some of it manually, the poly counts for all 2,500, all 2,500 original assets from the builder.
Nice.
So it took 15 hours, to input those into a spreadsheet.
So all of those will be, will be accessible here then, obviously.
Oh yeah, nice. Oh yeah, and so you can see these are some of the ones we've already added, and
Very cool.
Like I said, it's still work in progress, and not everything's showing up right now. But we're gonna have a lot of different things in here. A searchable catalog.
I love how it's searchable. Yeah.
Yes, and we'll have like a drop down as well. We're working on that right now, and to help just find things a little faster, right? Just efficiency is one of the things that we're looking for. And so we have like 3D objects, 2D objects, have maybe some stuff that's animated. Then we'll have some audio stuff as well, whether that's like, it's gonna be some mono, some stereo as well, and then maybe even some like high level, high quality stereo content.
So could you can you actually drag stuff in right now? That part's functioning or not yet?
Yes. So we're just going to go like the front page here. So as of right now, okay, so they're, or at least I thought I could. I think we hold on one second. Lastrum's in here. I know he's been working on it.
There he is.
Let's
bring him on up. I just saw you here.
Okay.
There you go.
So we did have it available 2 weeks ago for that. Here you go.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up? Thanks for coming.
Hey. Yeah, of course. Wanted to support Mease, but I've been working on some stuff. Long story short, we have all of the assets in the catalog from the builder, but the 3D models, that deployment isn't live yet. So what Mease is showing you is actually what happens when the models are uploaded to the catalog, but they're not available to use yet because they haven't been deployed in the scene. So we have all 2,500 builder assets in our catalog, but not the 3D versions of them in the scene. So Mease, if you wanted to use an asset, it would have to be one of the ones that we made. So you'd have to go through the catalog to find it. That's all I wanted to say. I'll drop down.
Oh, okay. Thank you
so much. Yeah, so unfortunately, that's one of the things with development is, right, it's constantly changing. We're constantly breaking things and, redoing and changing things. So we did have a presentation, though, 2 weeks ago where we did drop things in live. I was placing, moving, deleting things, in scene by myself. We've been talking about solo, right? And I've been talking about, myself. But this is going to be something where people can build collaboratively together, live.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's something I'm interested in. Yes, I want to see what that effect is, on the social aspect of Decentraland and how social building maybe changes things. Right now we're in a bear market for crypto, everything else, or we have been. And, that a lot of times creates like a PvP type situation. And, a lot of people maybe get frustrated. Maybe, right now the world is kind of like, financially, there's a lot of struggle. And so, people are just, just dealing with a lot of stuff, and it's tough. And so, I really want to see, what an interactive, collaborative experience of any kind has on the population and the community of Decentraland.
No, for sure. And he was saying that you can show like some of the assets that you guys created. Is that something you can search the catalog? I would love to see that. That's the one part that does function, or no?
Yeah. So as of right now, I don't think any of this is really. So right now, what it's showing this box. So this is like kind of like the placeholder for whatever the object is. Now, unfortunately, it was working, like I said, like 2 weeks ago, and I would have been able to drop these in and show you all that. But as of right now, I don't think I'm going to be able to. But these objects you're seeing right here, these are ones that we've created that are going to be in the catalog.
Yeah.
And we do have two different things. So number one, we have all of our stuff that we're doing for this. It's CC0, it's Creative Commons. So anyone can use these, for their scenes or whatever it is that they would like. And even though, we're only 2.5 months in out of 6, to give you an idea of where we're at, we have our asset list that is publicly available and of what we're going to be working on. So I can share that here in a sec. And then in addition to that, we also have our repository for our 3D assets. And so, our artists are uploading those on a somewhat regular basis, usually towards the end of the month. They're batch uploading them now just because it was they were doing them in smaller batches and it just wasn't quite efficient. Mm-hmm. And so I've just posted in this chat here in the town hall stage, this document, the mechanics. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. I apologize. Hold on one sec. So I'm going to post in here our 3D assets. So this is like our original ideas that we came up with and what we are going to be creating for our objects. So, we're going to be creating 1,800 plus objects of our own new custom assets that are 3D assets. And then we've got like probably 300 plus audio assets as well that are going to be added. So we've got our object list there. That's to give everyone an idea of kind of what we're going to be working on and what's coming up in the future. And then the next link that I'm going to post in here is our GitHub. And so you can save this link if you would like. And, this is our 3D work in progress. And so people can follow along, and feel free to download, any of these 3D assets and start using them in your scene. We currently have artists working on our Christmas stuff. We're currently working on some Christmas catalog assets. And so the hope is that we'll get those done and then share them on our social media and let people know, that they're available and that they can decorate their scenes with them for the holidays. So I'm hoping in the next week or two, maybe we'll have some of those available towards the end of the month here.
Oh, I love how you're working with, I'm seeing there's Odd Job, there's a whole bunch of artists on here that are creators that are contributing to the creation of extra assets, right? Black Node.
We have at least 7 artists. I think at least 7 3D artists working on this. We've got over 15 people total that are working.
Very cool.
That are working on on the builder for the in-world builder, it's a pretty large team. If you look at most grants, I think the average grant is probably like 2 or 3 people or 4. I don't know what the average grant size is. Some of them are only 1 or 2 people, but we have 15 on this team.
That's
and
awesome.
We started with 30, I think, on Angzaar, to give you an idea for that. And so people may ask, well, why do you need soft skills? Or, what is a project manager needed for on these projects, right? What is it that a project, why are they here? And so, my answer or response to that would be, well, with 30 artists on Angzaar and 15 on this one, there's a lot going on. And we also, another thing to look at is, who are these people? And so, most of these people, they have real-time jobs, that are their full-time gigs, or, they're artists, and, maybe they do like 2 or 3 different things. And some artists, like Rustan, he's like always doing something. And so they're really, really busy. And, to stay organized can be tough. And I think it really helps to have someone to help just keep people on task or guide them, or just be there as a resource, for anything that they may need. And so that's kind of, what I do is I try to help keep everyone organized and on task. And plus, projects, one thing with projects is the only thing that's constant in a project or project management is change. And
in
so
life, right?
Yes.
It's the only constant in life.
That's it. You never know what's going to happen next. And, you could hit a road bump that you didn't realize, like with Angzaar. We finished our project. Everything went well. And like right after we finished it, we were doing some extra stuff at the end. And then like the hand stuff came out, which broke, some of the stuff in the marketplace that we had built. Then we had the PX came out, the Portal Experiences, and the smart wearables came out at the same time, which the smart wearables interfered with some of our gamification. It could help give people advantages and other things that we didn't really want to have people to do, because it affected our gameplay, and it maybe affected, things that we wanted to have put into our gameplay later. And so that was, tough. And then right after that happened, we got the news of, hey, sunsetting SDK 6, and, then SDK 7. This is all like within 3 weeks of when we finished it.
No. Oh man, I feel your pain.
And so then we're like, well, we could go make all these other changes and do all these things, but we're going to have to like change everything anyways.
Yeah.
So why don't we just start doing SDK 7? And so that's what we started doing. And so we've been, redoing probably the most complex and largest scene in Decentraland pretty much from scratch, and learning SDK 7, and not even everything is available yet for SDK 7 that, or was at the time. It's slowly coming out, different things, and Decentraland's making their upgrades as well. So it's been a very interesting process going through all that. And so, we're doing really well right now as far as with Angzaar SDK 7. We had some people in for some testing out some of our gamifications and some other things for Halloween. So we did do some trick-or-treating for Halloween, and we gave out like, I don't even know, we had like 400 NFTs we gave out at least, I think, for that. We had at least 700 for grabs, but we just didn't have enough, people to take all. So that was kind of like one of our first test runs. And so we have Christmas coming up as well. So we're working on that. And we're hoping by the end of the year to be fully converted, to SDK 7 for Angzaar. So that's the hope. And
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go. I talk way too much.
No.
So
I would love to you were showing me the
other.
No, I love everything you're saying. It's great to hear all this. I would love to maybe give us a little demo of the 3D assets you guys are creating and what tools you guys are using. AI tools, right? You're using you said Luma AI. Yeah. Let's dive into that. That'd be really cool.
Totally. So before I go do that, let's see if there's anything else I want to show you here. Okay, so I'm going to hop back into Angzaar, which is at 0, -82 in Genesis. So I'll just say it again real quick. I'll put a link in here.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join, I would, but I will probably crash everything with OBS, Discord, and recording. I don't want to push the Discord gods, like I said earlier. It will crash. I opened up Decentraland already, like my screen flickered. I'm like, no, screw this. I'm turning this. I'm not even going to push it right now.
I totally understand. When I started playing, I had a MacBook Pro. It was a late 2019, and it worked really great in the beginning. About 6 months in, it just started going downhill real fast. Like, I'm pretty sure I melted part of the inside, from Decentraland, just using it too much. And I think I was even two-boxing, I was using two at once on the same computer.
Two boxing. I didn't even know that term. I love it because that's what I do. I have a Mac. I have a Mac to my right, and then I have my gaming PC to my left. I hadn't used PCs forever until I entered, the metaverse, and I'm like, I need to build shit in Blender. I need a better computer and exporting things. And I still love my Mac though. It's old. It's older than yours. I think it's 2018 MacBook Pro, which still kicks butt. But it definitely was starting to fume when I would run certain things like Decentraland on it. It was not happy.
Mine, of course, I bought mine just before the M1s came out. So
yeah, mine too.
I should have waited just a little longer. I think it was like 4 months, or I can't remember how many months it was, or 6 months. But I should have waited a little longer. So I'm in Angzaar right now, and I want to show you some of these assets here. So you can see these assets here in front of me. These green and red boxes. So we've been testing out some different, lots of different AI programs that are out there, and for either 2D stuff for the UI, stuff for audio for our NPCs to talk, which we've been using 11 labs for that. And so now one of the latest things that's been really cool is Lumi Labs. And so let me post a link, or Luma Labs, sorry, Luma AI. So I'll post that link in here. So they have a Discord. It's free right now. You can go in there and you can create objects, and all the objects are, anyone can use them. And so we've been working on creating our own just for the holidays, for Christmas, to kind of just test it out and see how it is. And so all the assets that are here in front of me, from this sleigh to these boxes to this wreath here, all of these were created in that program. And so, for myself, I don't really know Blender. I had to use it for a couple different things, like when I was looking at the polycaps for all those 2,600
you learned
objects.
The statistics menu, yes, it's important.
Yes, and shortcuts. I created shortcuts.
Yes.
So after 500, I was like, all right, there's got to be a better way. This is too slow. And I think I set up my time by 50 to 75% efficiency just for making 1 or 2 shortcuts to just quickly pull up menus and just select objects and stuff.
Definitely.
So Luma Labs. So the process, now there's a few different things. So number one, it's great to use this 3D concept art, I think. We used to do in Angzaar, I had to do 2D concept art, and I'll just pull that up real quick because I'm still using this. So this is Leonardo AI. And so this is one of the things with 2D that it's free right now. You get 150 credits per day. It takes 2 credits per image for the low quality stuff, and then 8 for the higher quality. But as of late, I want to show you, this is some of the newer stuff I've been doing, but unfortunately hasn't been, some of this is hard to do. It's actually easier to do the Luma Lab stuff than some of the 2D stuff now, which is pretty mind-boggling.
That is crazy.
At least to me, yeah. So like we're looking at like different chips and stuff. This is like for our 2D equipment stuff in Angzaar, and for like our user interface for like items and stuff. And so that's what I've been working on creating. And actually, one of the things I was trying to do was I was also trying to take 2D objects and make them 3D objects from here. And that did not go very well. That actually was a way harder process by far. Just getting a basic flat box, which is like almost impossible with a bow. The bows never turn out well.
Like hands. The bows are like, what the hell is that?
The hands and the faces. The hands and the faces.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. The hands are so weird.
Yep.
They're like
it's almost fun.
Weird
noodles. You're like, oh, that's disturbing. I don't want those kind of hands, please. Like
it is. And like they're all like goblin hands. And I say goblins. We were actually working on making goblins for Christmas in Decentraland. And so
cool.
Let's see. I'm going to pull up Luby Labs real quick, and I'm going to share that on here. Let's see.
Yeah, like can you showcase how it works? Is it just text prompts? Yeah, I would love to see that. That would be fun.
Yeah. So just sorry, let's see here. Hopefully that's not like infinite for you guys.
No, it looks. Right, I can see it. I just see the multiple screens, but yeah.
So there's a few different things going on here. So number one, they've got like 5 individual channels that you can just go and type stuff in.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So like I would go in here and I would type in like /Gen for Genie. And then I would type in like cyberpunk Christmas present, okay, just to give you an idea. Cool. And if you really want to go like hardcore, which like I want to say, some of the generations that we were created, maybe it took like up to 50 tries, attempts to do it. And so you can kind of do 4 at a time on here.
Of the same thing.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, of anything.
Okay.
So you can see here, you reached the limit. Maybe it's 3 now. So it takes a little bit of time, like maybe, I guess it depends on the servers. It used to only take like 20 seconds, but it depends on how many people are using it, but maybe up to a minute.
Oh, there it is.
And so these are like the base objects. And wow, this is not I thought we trained this thing well, but maybe not. None of these are what I would have imagined. So, here we go. Okay, so like we got, that one's okay.
Yeah, that one's like getting there.
So, you can also do like thumbs up, and this thing learns pretty quickly, or at least it seemed to have. I don't know if someone like, intentionally taught it the wrong stuff to.
That could be. People who are bored late night, I'm going to mess with the AI prompts.
That's a real thing. You can send it into negative feedback loops.
Oh, no. Hopefully not too many people.
That's one of the concerns about AI in general is, sending things into negative feedback loops.
Yeah, it's like teaching a kid bad things or teaching a kid nice things. Like, same thing, man. Ooh, okay, that's looking better.
Well,
it's not really a present, though.
So unfortunately, I don't know why this isn't quite working the same. Like, I swear it was working way better before. So I don't know what changes, updates they've made, but
so from the prompts, like, what do you do in case let's just pretend one of them's okay?
Yeah. So like let's say this car. I didn't create this, someone else did. But you could go here, like this is the first one. So you go like the first car, refine. So you're gonna press like refine 1.
Okay.
So when you do that, then what should happen is it should pop up in here and it's gonna say, hey, it's refining, right? And so it's going to say the prompts that you said. It's in this channel, so you can actually like search within this channel.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of people. It looks like ahead of you. Is that all the people in line and having their stuff being worked on? So.
And it takes time in here. Like I'll show you. It shows you the progress, and they update over time. You can see this is like the line you're in. You see 30, 20, 10, 5, and it goes by 5%. So like as of right now, it looks like in this line there's like 20-something people, and then you can go up in here.
Then you can download it straight. Oh, that's cool. That's what I wanted to see.
Yes. And so, sorry.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So when you click this, what happens is it opens a window. Okay. And so this is their website, and you can see the 3D asset here. And now there's some things I want to mention because of like our current process, at least for Decentraland, may be different than for somewhere else. And so I want to download this. I can just click the download button. Boom, got it.
Is it a
it's here.
GLB or what does it download as?
Yeah, so I believe these are GLBs. Hold on one second.
You should share it with me. I want to see this. I want to open it in Blender and see what it looks like. I'm really curious. So is it low poly, high poly? Like, what is the poly count on these?
Okay, so as far as, I haven't really checked the poly counts, but I will tell you the file size. So the file size tends to range from like 3 to like 4 megs, okay? Which for Decentraland is a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty big.
It is. Really so to give you an idea, like some of the builder assets from the original builder are like 64 to 150 kilobytes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was going to say most of them are teeny tiny.
Yeah, and so they're very small, and I'm working on uploading this right now for you all so y'all can see this GLB. Okay.
I mean, what I think of is like, okay, imagine in 5 years, this is going to be a billion times faster and crazier. I mean, right now we're in like the beginning of all of this. It's going to be insane, man.
Oh yeah, I'd say give it 6 months. Like,
you're right. 6 months. Yeah, you're right. It's 6 months, but still, I think in like 5 years, it's going to be. I'm just going to sit there and think of these things, look at it floating in front of me, create worlds with just my thought, and done. Upload. You know, like that's where I want.
Yeah. Well, actually, Roblox is already a large way towards that. They just had a recent presentation for Roblox.
I heard about that.
And literally, you just like type in what you want in the scene. Like, I want this scene with this, and this, and it just goes boom, and it populates like a campsite with trees and like other stuff. And then you're like, turn it into a graveyard for Halloween. And then it like puts all these Halloween assets in there.
Wow.
Now, of course, it pulls up like all their assets from their store to purchase and stuff. But yes, like that's kind of like
that's
how they're
smart marketing, man. That's the way to push it, dude. Wow, brilliant.
It is. And so we've got this asset, right, that I shared with you all. And this looks like it's about 2.9 megs. Now, our process for how we got like our assets into this scene, I don't have the skills, or I haven't like done it yet myself. So I passed it on to Lastrum. So what we did was, number one, there's two different things. So I showed you this website. So on this website, you can actually edit assets with these buttons over here.
Didn't even know. Very cool.
But there's downsides to that, at least for Decentraland. So what we found is you cannot alter them on the website and really get them to work in Decentraland, unfortunately.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder what happens.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure what it does to the file, but for some reason, this is the standard. Like they're 0.95 roughness, and then you can like change, the metal up and down, and you can actually like tint the object, all that kind of stuff. So I did that, and unfortunately, all the objects I did that for, we weren't able to use them. And so what the process though is, you download it, pretty much without editing it. You cannot edit it for Decentraland. Then you get it on your computer, you open it up in Blender.
I have it open right now in Blender. It's pretty high poly. It's 49,000 triangles.
So it has to be optimized is another thing. And then I'm trying to think of what else. So it has to be optimized. You can't do the website. There's one more thing I'm thinking of here. Hold on. Let me check my notes, I guess, here. And sometimes like cleaning stuff up, like sometimes there will be like some like random like white or clear stuff coming off of like an arm or a leg or a wing that maybe just like something hovering in the air that's just like a random piece of something. And so, those are sometimes some of the things that need to be cleaned up. Of course, the hardest things for this to create right now, just like we talked about, are the hands and the face, especially like humanoid type creatures, with like 5 fingers or 4 fingers and just a regular face. Animals, it seems to know animals a lot more, and I'm guessing just because they've been trained a lot more on animals. And like, this is like a fox with, some other type of wings or something, right? So that's kind of like, it's a little easier for them to produce. And so like animals are great on this. And even like combinations, you want to go make your own Pokemon or something, like this is great for that. Or just any animals that don't really exist in the real world and combining different animals. And so I've seen definitely a lot of people have created really, really cool stuff. And that's one of the cool things about the Discord in there is you can go see other people's creations. You can go see other people's their prompts and their inputs and try, you can and you can use them and you can understand, how to get better at prompting that way. And, I know that my skills, got better just from looking at those. And one thing I'm going to pull up again just before I move on is from the Lumi Labs or Luma Labs. So they have another channel. So I showed you like the regular channels where you do the inputs. Then I showed you kind of like, let's check out our progress. So our progress is at 40% right now. So then there's another channel called Showcase, and this is like where the best of the best go.
Nice.
And they select, so they're curated and they select them.
No, I love it. So all of these again are downloadable. Like every single one of these, you could download all of these featured ones, and that's so cool. Yeah, overall it's really cool. I mean, I have it here open in Blender, and it's just like you could work with optimizing, but just the fact that the process, the time wasn't going to be very long. It's probably going to be another 10-15 minutes before it's ready, right?
Yeah, it takes like 20 plus minutes, I want to say, like sometimes.
Yeah.
So typically what I do is, I get 4 in the hopper there, and then I take a break and switch over to something else. Maybe I'll go to 2D assets or, go eat or something and come back, and then it's ready. And then I do another round, if I need to. But there's so many cool assets in here, and even just like ideas for assets.
I love that. What's the 2DF one?
Crochet dragon.
What's the site? What's the 2D one that I'm copying all the links and going to share them? And that's Leonardo. Is that the Leonardo?
Leonardo.
Oh, okay, cool. Here it is. Awesome. I'll grab it.
And you can create, I've got like 4 accounts. You can link these to like Google, anything like that. And really, I mean, they're really awesome. This is probably one of my weaker accounts as far as stuff. Just give me a second here. I'm going to pull up maybe one of my other ones that has better 2D stuff I've generated, because unfortunately everything I just showed you is like some of my worst of the worst for stuff coming out.
It's just really cool to see the process and how this particular tool works, and the fact that you can use everybody else's designs as well and, make them your own. It's really cool. I like how his feet came out really funny, though. His fox feet are like weirdly flat. I like it when they turn out weird. That's like the fun part.
It is, and it makes them unique. And so another thing I will say, I did notice, so you mentioned the feet. On some objects as well, the very top is sometimes odd, and so is the bottom. So just, I don't know, I'm not quite sure, what exactly was trained on, like different 2D objects or 3D objects, but those seem to be the weak points. So it's like humanoid type hands, face, and then like sometimes the top or the bottom of objects. So those are typically like when I'm refining or like looking for things, that's generally the weak points. And so I'm trying to find the best of those like positions and things, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, love it.
So this is Leonardo again. So these are like some of the other stuff I was working on for Angzaar. Mm-hmm. I was looking for like implants for like eyes and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see it.
So
Very cool.
So then we're looking for, these were, I was looking for like a good hammer, like a cyberpunk hammer for like some of our abilities maybe I'm working on here. And it took me a lot more than I anticipated.
Really cool.
But I think and these, you could do like 70 a day of these these are the lower quality ones. Just to show you real quick, you can see here there's a lot of different options, but what I've been doing is we really work at like 512 by 512 for like our 2D asset stuff for user interface. And so I kind of stick with that, which is the lowest end possible pretty much, it's a 1x1. And then they also have like photorealistic stuff you can do. Then they've got this new stuff, their alchemy, which creates like crazy, just really high detail stuff. I don't really need that. I'm looking for more basic things. And so you get, you only use up 2 credits each when you're doing them. And so you can see you can do 4, 1 to 8 at a time, which is really nice. And then you can add in your prompt, and then you can put in a negative prompt as well. And this is all like the free stuff. And of course, they have some premium stuff as well, to where you can do like image guidance where you upload an image. This used to be free actually, but they made it so it's not anymore, I think. Or maybe get 1 image. Yeah, you might get 1 image for guidance still. So let's see here if it'll let me. Maybe not.
Yeah, Mariana said, never heard of these sites. I know. I'm so stoked to hear of these from you too. I'm right there with her. Like, it's cool to just see what different. So what you were saying is like these 2D, you use these for the 3D modelers because they don't translate well in the next version, or what is the main like?
So originally, yes. So originally, when we were doing Angzaar for like the wearables, even just some of the objects, you know, I was doing myself, some of the other artists, we were using 2D generators for that. Now, the programs that we were using for that are really no longer free. And we use Midjourney, which, you know, you got to pay for that, which we had, you know, one of our artists or two had subscriptions to that. I also used scenario.ai was another one, and it's not in there. Unfortunately, I can't really show you too much with this in here with the Discord, but like on the website, maybe I'll go on the website here in a sec. But another one's like Playground. Of course, like we use Stable Diffusion, which is like, and then let's see, I think that was pretty much it. But unfortunately, you know, what happens is a lot of these things, they come out and they're free because they want people to use them. They want to build the hype.
Yep.
They need people to train.
Totally.
They need people to And so when they get to a point to where, you know, they feel like they hit the point where they have what they want and they want to, you know, start generating some revenue, then they switch over.
Yeah, they always get it. Once they have you hooked, it's like the drug dealer. They have you hooked, and then they start charging you. They're like, here, try these little candy. Little creator kids.
You get that little taste, and then you're like, oh, I want to create. It's so easy. Like, and I learned it, and it was easy, and all this other stuff. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm in. So this used to be free as well for like everything. I got in the beta for this. And so like what I was looking at was creating like different types of crystals, I think, on this account. And so on one of my accounts, I actually created like, you insert one and you like, I trained it and like I just on all kinds of stuff. And I used like hundreds of images over time or like a couple dozen and just created hundreds and hundreds of images to get what we were looking for. Unfortunately, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if it's on this account, but okay, yeah, here's something I generated. So I think I use this account for generating. Maybe I use another one for actually like producing all the stuff. But just to give you an idea of like, you know, what this used to be, and this was free, and I was just trying to create like gems and things like that. But even this took a lot of time. And it's just crazy, you know, now that that we're where we're at, and really it feels like the 2D stuff is harder to do still. It's gotten better than the 3D stuff that, you know, we've been talking about here. And that blows my mind. I'm still amazed by that. And, you know, they're not perfect. Like I'll show you here. This is our Christmas tree that we've currently got in here. We place these objects in Angzaar just to, you know, get a feel for what they're like and to maybe be placeholders while we have other objects being made, or to use as concept art for our 3D artists. And so that's what we've mostly been using it for so far.
Yeah, they're like really quick. Like you can sketch out scenes, ideas really fast, and then if you want to improve the texture, the look, you can just quickly go in there, do some decimation, recreate it, or whatever. It's just so much faster than like talking about it. It's like, here's what we want it to look like. Boom, done. And then they can just like tweak it, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know, words, right? And human beings, even if everyone's, number one, we've got people from all around the world on our teams, right? And so some people are ESL. They're not, you know, their first language is not English. And even though they speak, you know, pretty much fluent English and everything else, and even if they did, you know, two people that, even if we're using the same words have multiple meanings. Totally. And they mean different things to different people. And so, you know, one of the things that is easier to convey is like symbols and images, right? And that's why human beings have used written language and symbols over time. And so it's so much easier to communicate and be on the same page, because, you know, with Angzaar early on, we didn't really do concepts too much, and that created issues for us, you know, to where we would talk about something and then, you know, people would be getting like no sleep or, you know, whatever it is, or they'd work on it 2 weeks later and kind of like have different, you know, memories in their mind than like what we talked about or whatever it was. And so, which happens all the time. It's like, you know, you go play the telephone game with people. I don't know if you ever, you know.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it changes real fast. What you say to someone, somehow it goes down the line, and then yeah, it's different. So the images, we found for concept, everything else has been really, really helpful.
Yeah, and one thing I would love for you to talk about too is lore and storyline. That I find really fun and fascinating. I love like looking into, lore creation and how you guys brainstorm that aspect. And yeah, I saw this in your notes. I'm like, would love to see that too.
Totally. And so, I played a lot of games growing up. One was Magic the Gathering. I'm trying to remember here, Magic the Gathering. So we had looked at, I think this is the right set here. So there was a set that I was playing back in, let's see if it was the set before this one, Cons of Tarkir. I want to say it was like 2017 or 18. Oh, it was 14. Okay, so I played in like 14, and in this set, or in this block, so it was like the set before this, there were different groups within Magic the Gathering, and they're like tribes. And what's that Jess guy? So we had these different tribes, and each one of these different tribes has a symbol. So this is the Jess guy, and Magic the Gathering has like 5 different elements. And so you've got like red, white, blue, black, and green. And each one of those represents a lot of different things. Here, actually, let me see. I wish I had more of this pulled up. Hold on one sec. I want to see. Why don't you ask me their question here while I'm pulling this up, or just talk. You can talk about something for your first.
Cool. If you want to, I can show the Blender file. I have it open. If you want to stop screen share. Yeah. You have to, I think, stop screen share for a minute.
Oh, okay. One sec. Hold on.
There we go. Okay, let me see if it's going to share my screen. But this sometimes breaks. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Let's see if it's going to do it without breaking the system. If it does, then I'm sorry. There it is. Do you guys see it? Yep, you can see it. Cool. Yeah, so as you can see, if you look under here, where is this? Statistics over on the left-hand side, you can toggle this on. Here, where I was saying, has almost 50,000 tries. So definitely pretty big, but it's always fun to see the texture. Look at that. Look at what it creates for you. You can always tweak that out and upload. I always have fun taking things like that and then bringing it into like Illustrator or Photoshop and tweaking it out. But it's still fun to see what madness here. It's actually, I think I crashed it. Look, it wasn't happy with me for a minute there. Yeah, it's working very slowly. Let's see. Oh, look, it's crashed. No, I wasn't trying to press that. Now it's going into different. I don't need. Actually, it would be fun kind of messing with sculpting mode. That wasn't my intention, but still cool.
Oh, sorry. So whenever you're ready, I could definitely pull back up.
Let's go for it. I was just having. It's about to crash my computer anyway. That's too much for it. Blender recording this, and it went white. My left screen because I have too much. Look, it's close the program. Ooh, look, I duplicated it. It's too many tries. Close. Don't save. There we go. Okay, there you go. Go for it. It's all yours again.
All right. So, okay, that's the wrong button. Screen share. Okay, so I pulled up a couple different things here. So one of them, we've got these different clans. And so these different clans were in Magic the Gathering. And I really liked how they did it. And so what they did was they took these 5 different elements, and each one of those elements means different things. And so here it is. So we've got blue, black, red, green, and this is white. And so each one of these, they traditionally have like different personality or archetypes kind of to them for like just the players and the cards in general that fall into these colors. And so some cards are just a single mono color, and some are like 2, or some of them are more. Mm-hmm. And so each one of these, you can see like blue is like logic and thinking, and technology and intellect and inaction, right? It's like about, because you're just like, it's kind of like me. So like my color that I associate the most with is this one. And so this is people like who overthink, who do that kind of stuff. And you can sometimes get stuck in your own, just thoughts and processes, right?
Yeah.
So then you've got black, which is usually like destruction, parasitism, selfishness, paranoia, being immoral. Then you've got red, it's like chaos, impulse, freedom, action. And you've got like white, it's the opposite. It's kind of like morality, order, peace, law, but it's not really creative. And so, it's kind of just like, eh. And then you've got green, that's more like nature and growth and native and instinct and interdependence. And so they take all these different things here. And so we're going to go from these colors to these clans. And so then they take the characteristics of the different colors and they took 3 of the 5 for each clan and they combined them. And then those made up the characteristics and the archetypes of each clan.
Love it.
So the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because when I was originally, coming up and working on the storyline with, some of our other artists and our team, was I really wanted to have factions, and for a couple different reasons. Number one, because in EverQuest, one of my favorite things about that game was there's a sense of permanence, and to where all of like your actions and interactions with different NPCs, which are non-player characters, or like certain enemies, they have a social thing going on. And so if you, let's say, go attack a guard at a certain city and you kill them, then you get typically negative faction, that's what it's called, with that, your standing, like your social standing with that group. And it's permanent. And so wherever those people are, whether it's just that city or maybe some of them are somewhere else too, you lose faction, you lose your social standing with them. And there are, number one, if you do it enough, then they might just, attack you on sight. So that's one thing. You may no longer be welcome there. Mm-hmm. And another thing is that you may no longer be offered the same quests or opportunities or storylines and lore from those people if you're not in good standing or not in good enough standing, right? Just like kind of in the real world where like
totally. I was just going to say that if you're an ass, you're going to be known as an ass.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if someone wants to share, like if you want to learn someone's like, deeper secrets or learn, just things that are more about them that they wouldn't really share regularly in public, you typically have to be in a better position with them and be, in very good terms. And so that's something that I really wanted to bring to Decentraland and to the gamifications of Angzaar. And so that was really a lot of the motivations and inspirations behind the different factions that we have, which I will go over here in just a second with you. And when we originally started, it was really tough because we had to come up with like, well, what are they going to be? We came up with like 5 different ones, which of course we only started out with 2 to give you an idea. And then, not only that, but like we had to come up with names for them. And that was tough because just getting, not only, we have to agree as a group, but we wanted it to go with the theme and the culture of Web3 and crypto and Decentraland and all that kind of stuff. And so what we ended up going with was punks. And so we decided, you know what, we're going to do like these mercenary type people who are more like independent but so to where like maybe they kind of like Mandalorian, maybe in a way, like for anyone who's, familiar to the TV show, to where they're part of a group, but they're also kind of independent, or Guardians of the Galaxy, some of those groups in there where they have their own individual factions within maybe like a larger one. And so it's kind of like clicks, right? Just like kind of the real world or high school.
No, definitely.
So the clans that we ended up coming up with, or the factions that we ended up coming up with were two of them. And so we decided, you know what, it needs to be interesting. And, what is it that we want to have? If we could only have two things, two factions to start with, what do we have? What would be interesting? And so we really wanted to relate something to the real world and of like present day and maybe the future, right? For like a dystopian future, because that's kind of like what this is for Angzaar. It's kind of a dystopian future. And so the technology is further ahead. It doesn't take place on planet Earth. It takes place kind of in the middle of nowhere, on the edge of like a galaxy that isn't very heavily traveled, and that it just happens to be a trading hub. And so this planet really doesn't have a lot of resources. It's a desert. It's an arid desert. It's not a tropical desert. When we were originally coming up with the ideas for this, we were like, well, do we make it a tropical desert? Where we have palm trees and that kind of stuff, or is it more obviously volatile or dangerous or treacherous, right? Because with palm trees, you kind of need some water. Typically, like we want to do something with like Oasis, right? Of course, you've got Ready Player One, which is a huge inspiration as well for things that we've done here. I kind of see the metaverse as the first step where we are now becoming, and heading towards Ready Player One. We're not in VR yet. We're not doing that stuff. And luckily, I think, it's like 2040 or 2050 when it starts. So we still got 15, 20 years to go. At least we can catch up to that, right? So we've got the cyberpunks is one of the ones that we chose, and we chose the dune punks. And so since we had the desert, we wanted something to match that. And of course, the movie Dune, which had recently come out in the last, 4 years maybe or something like that. Incredible movie. I loved it. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next one. We thought that would be a perfect fit. And we really wanted something for Decentraland that wasn't flat. That was a huge, huge thing that we wanted to do. And so, having sand was a lot more exciting than doing, green hills or, whatever else it may be, or just rocks. And so sand, and right now, by the way, the sand is a different color than it normally is, just so you're seeing it. We've kind of changed it to snow. So this is for the next 6 weeks or something. You'll see it's going to be this color, and they'll change back to more of a tan afterwards.
Nice.
So we've got the cyberpunks, the dune punks, and there are two different factions. And so people, can be a part of both these different factions. Now, what your standing is with both factions or each individual faction is going to be completely different. And it's going to depend on, your actions or your interactions with the NPCs or the quests or whatever it is it may be within the game. And some of those are going to be positive, and some of them,
Hey Z,
maybe
turn
negative.
it down. I'm in a meeting.
And so there are limited resources here on Angzaar because it is a desert, and because like I said, it's really just mostly used for trade routes, and people that are here are just kind of like stuck and don't really have a lot of options for things they can do. And so the hub kind of represents the trading outpost of that. And I wish I could show you our NPCs or our CPCs. So we have, for anyone who's not too familiar, we have NPCs just like most video games do. But early on, we also came up with a concept of what's called CPCs. And so CPCs are clone player characters. And so we allowed people to come in from a Decentraland and clone themselves. And so we have, it's not here right now, cloning machine. And so the cloning machine, people could walk up to it, they could click it and say, hey, I want to clone my character. And it would take a lot of updates. So like maybe at the time, I'm wearing this when I did my clone, but I changed clothes. And so it would automatically update and pull whatever the most recent clothes someone was having and what they were wearing. In addition to that, it started out as like people could just like only stand in one place, and that was it. And then we added paths to them to where they could walk, and you could say, hey, go to this point, and then you're going to go to this point, and then you're going to go to this point, and then maybe they do a loop or something like that. And then we added chat to it as well, to where they could add like up to 5 lines or something like that. And then we added links on top of that later on down the line. And so people could click above the head of that clone player character, and like Spotty Wi-Fi was one of the first ones that put links in after we had put that feature in, and and this is like all when we were testing it out and all that kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, with SDK 7, I think we still have issues with the movement of the NPCs and the CPCs. And so we've kind of put those towards the back burner of like everything we're updating right now until that gets a little more established or well known as far as like the processes for that. And so we had those clones running around. I think we had like 100 or like something people make clones. And so all those clones were running around in Angzaar and really made it feel full, even though no one was in there, which is really awesome. And we were also working on like analytics for those links as well, so people could actually like track to their social media where they were going and how many people clicked and all of that. And so I think at some point in the future we will bring that back, but right now that's kind of just on the back burner as we're still updating to SDK 7.
Yeah, we have that. We interviewed you guys for that creator series. So anyone wants to check that out, remember back in the day, we had a whole like segment on that on the DAO YouTube when you guys showcased all of that. Oh, I think you're on mute, Mease.
Oh, thank you. So
I was like, I think he's probably talking, maybe not.
I do that. Yeah, I do that. Thank you. So I'm in the resource center right now. I'm just going to show you some stuff in Angzaar. So we have in here just like some of our items showing off that are going to be in game, like hopefully, like I said, in 6 weeks when we hopefully are able to launch this, have everything for the gamification completed.
Awesome.
The good thing is it's allowed us to do some additions as well, or hopefully that we were not able to do before. And so we're going to be able to have like a little more of a full experience for our initial launch than we would have. We were just kind of like crammed. We really did about 2 or 3x, I think, of what we had promised. We built out, an entire Coliseum for events and things, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But like, that's just one of the aspects of the things that we added. And really this was just supposed to be like a marketplace with like some basic quests and some other stuff. And, I think that once people come in here and once we get the game started, people will see that this is probably one of the most complex games in Decentraland. I think Knights of Antrim is probably up there as well. Golfcraft is probably, pretty complicated too. So I would say that those are probably 2 of the most complicated games, as far as like the intense amount of programming and ideation that went into them. So we've got like multi-tools. These are some of our equipment, and these are used for like harvesting materials, which I don't think any are currently out there. Maybe I'll populate those here. We kind of pulled those out for Christmas for now, since they really can't be harvested until our gamification starts. You can see these are our wearables. So this is our cyberpunk wearables right here.
Love it.
And this is one of our special characters here. This is one of our Shrouded Wanderer. And he's going to be an interesting character to find in the game. I don't want to reveal too much about him right now. And this is our Dune Punks. And so, when we're looking at this, I'm going to go really quick back to the factions and some of the differences. So we've got the Cyberpunks. They're, of course, like futuristic, into technology, not really quite as social. Maybe they're just, really in their VR headsets and just really into that. Or, maybe more materialistic in nature. And so the Dune Punks are more like basic live off the land type thing, and they're more like down to earth with nature and more shamanistic, I would say, as far as like from a cultural and spiritual sense. And so we wanted to have these differences And so some of the challenges, there's different challenges that are going on here in the social and cultural world of Angzaar. And you have these limited resources, right? And you have the advancement of technology. And of course, you have like the cyberpunks who are like pushing this technology. And then you've got, this is the hub, which people are always like bringing stuff in. And then, you've got like maybe some of like the other people here who are more like natural and really, I'm not saying like opposed to it, but I would say like resistant maybe, to the technology. Like they'll use it, but they don't want to like have to heavily rely upon it, and they're not really like obsessed with it, like I would say the cyberpunks are. And so those cultural differences, will be displayed throughout the lore, the storyline, the quests, and talking to the different NPCs for Angzaar. And so those are really two of the major differences between these factions here. Even though, both these parties, these factions share the same land, kind of the same land area and the same planet. And so that's kind of like how the storyline is going to start. And I don't want to share too much more beyond that, but there's definitely some issues that the Dune punks are going to have to deal with, maybe to keep up with technology as far as competing for resources. And there's going to be things they have to deal with for that. And the cyberpunks, their reliance on technology and obsession with it. There's definitely pros for that as far as for getting resources and things, but there might also be some downsides too. And so, my goal is to bring that out through the storyline and through the storytelling of Angzaar and the gamification. So I'm going to get back here to some of the weapons so you can get an idea of like, these are our 5 different weapons here that we're starting out with in Angzaar that people are going to be able to get. And so you get one starting weapon, and the other ones are able to be gotten, throughout playing the gamification. And we have 4 different major types of NPCs and enemies to fight starting out with. And they're going to be like, they have different levels, just to give you an idea of like character levels as far as progression. Right now, like our initial launch, we're going to be starting with 40 character levels. And so we're going to have NPCs or enemies, that you're going to be able to fight against. And so these enemies that people are going to be able to fight against, by the way, so if you're out there and you're seeing, let's see if I can see one through the window here. So if you see enemies out there, though, there's going to be other people that will be able to fight with you. So this is all collaborative or multiplayer aspect. Yeah.
So people in your same clan, or how is that going to work exactly?
It's going to be anybody. So anyone is really going to be able to, and there's pros and there's cons to it. Okay. And so number one, it's going to create, I think my hope is more of a group dynamic. And just like we had talked about earlier with the in-world builder, collaborative building, right? And player action and interaction. And so we want to add more of the interaction into the gameplay for Angzaar and into Decentraland. So, players will be able to take down these enemies and work together to do so, to do it more efficiently, maybe so you don't, die as much, or you can take them out more quickly. But at the same time, there's only so many resources that they drop. And so the players who, do the most damage are going to have like a higher chance, or they're going to, be getting more of the resources depending upon the situation. But it's not like the people who, don't do the most damage or whatever it is, they're not going to be necessarily left out. They're going to be still able to get a few different things from like faction hits to where you're getting, positive social faction. In addition to that, player experience as well. So experience will be able to still be had by those other players. And, some enemies maybe down the line are be too strong for one or, 2 people to take out on their own. And so people may need to work together as a group to achieve certain goals and tasks.
Oh, I love that. So when is the actual launch date for it going to be?
Yeah, so we don't really have an exact launch date yet. Right now we're looking at the end of the year is like what our goal is. That it's tough for me to say, an exact date, especially because we have like Thanksgivings this week, and
you
then
have like a lot of vacation.
Christmas, and then we have the holiday, and then New Year's. So ideally, 5 weeks would be the hope right now.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to keep people in the loop. We've got our Christmas event that's going to be coming up. I've been working hardcore on our Christmas event. For Halloween, we had like a really quick event. It was just like 5 hours or 6 hours. We had trick or treating of like people running around and picking up different things like off the ground and around Angzaar, and getting a chance at getting NFTs and things. Now, this is all just separate from our gamification. This is just like we were just using our scene for that. And so the Christmas thing is going to be kind of the same. It doesn't really necessarily directly involve the storyline of Angzaar per se. It does play a little bit off of it, but it's more or less just like taking place within the scene itself. And so, we've changed the sand to snow outside for Christmas, and then we've started, decorating a little bit on the inside middle of the hub area. And so we're also going to be doing, I think we've got like 5 different total quests and mini games for Christmas that we're going to be doing. I think I've already worked like, I don't even know, 100, 200 hours or something just on probably 200 for the Christmas stuff. And we're working with a group of people. So not going to really say who's on board yet. We've got a meeting on tomorrow. Yeah. So tomorrow's our meeting. We started with DG is definitely on board. So it's going to be us and DG so far. And then we've invited 3 other parties that we did some other stuff with in the past. And so we're seeing, how they would like to contribute or if they would, and going to be involving other scenes as well, having these quests, most of them go through not just our scene here in Angzaar, but involve the other scenes as well.
I love that.
So that's cool. And that's what we wanted to do is we run and Angzaar as well, like we wanted to make it a community place for Decentraland. And this was, it was really designed to be a social hub. Unfortunately, like I said, the unfortunate part was that right after we launched was like when everything changed. And so, my hope is that this will be a vibrant social hub, and from people playing the gamifications to people using the marketplace. In addition to that, not only do we have was the Decentraland marketplace, but we also have other things. Like we have the cyberpunk area over here where I'm going to walk. And so we've got these containers. So these are actually storefronts, and we had these activated for a while. I don't think they're working at this current second, but players would come in, you reserve one, and you can literally, so number one, whatever account you have, like this is my account. I've got like 4 different items that I've created or something that I've published in Decentraland on this account. And so they would show up here automatically, and anyone would be able to come here and purchase them from my store. We also had it so that after that, we made it so that anyone could come and reserve one. And they could literally list any item that they would want in their shop. And so this is another outlet and opportunity for people to have, a storefront or just to get additional visibility, right? If that makes any sense. And so originally when we started out, all of these were this green color, and that was like the symbol. You see there's like a glow. I don't know if you see like the white glow around them. And so those were ones that were not taken, that haven't been reserved yet. The other ones were the ones that had already been reserved. So like to give you an idea of how many people had claimed storefronts, all of the colored ones, other than the green, have been claimed. And we allowed people to customize them. And so the first level of customization that we were allowing was just the different colors on the outside. And, the plan or the hopes are in the future here is that, okay, this is mine. Okay. Okay, it's not quite there yet. So you can see this is like mine, or no, maybe not. Maybe this is just one's working. But this is the original one I had claimed. And so this was here. And we wanted more customization options. We're looking at how can we allow people to customize stuff on the inside of this? to make their shop more unique or interesting or just, something about them. I don't know, whether it's like their artwork or something like that. So those are things that we're looking at here, for the future to add to our scene, just to add to the experience and add some more value to creators in the Decentraland and collectors within the community, because there's people that just like to sell too, here. And so we wanted to appeal to all groups of those people. So this, I'm currently in the Coliseum, and this is, like I said, something that we added additional that really
that's
wasn't
cool. I haven't seen this build.
A part of our grant. Yeah. And so this is like an arena. Let me see if I can pull something up here. Real quick.
Will people be battling it out like BattleBots?
Yeah, that was the plan. It's like I originally wanted to do like PvP, options to where like people could come duel in here, but maybe there's also community events as well. And so let's see here if I can make this happen. Okay, let's see if this works. No. Okay. So, it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, I don't know if you heard. Of course, I hit it as soon as it came up. Okay, so can you see the screen here?
Yeah.
So I just that's our big screen for like events and for streaming, and nice. So we're looking at like for like maybe Apple events or VR events or maybe even just certain Decentraland things.
Just parties. Because it'd be cool to party in here.
And because like the Decentraland DAO, they didn't have their own place, and so we were looking to have at least host for them or something, or maybe have a place to where we could share those things. And so this is like definitely a place that I would love to party. Let's go to night mode. I've showed you the day mode and what Angzaar looks like in the day mode, but the truth is most of the time I'm in here.
I like night mode. I like night mode the best too.
Yeah, especially with like the cyberpunk city. Yes. So I'm going to hop over to the cyberpunk city. I'm actually teleporting there right now. And so I just teleported to the cyberpunk city.
Oh, cool.
So you can see here, we've got like all kinds of artwork and signs up.
Is this part live now, or I haven't seen this one? Very cool.
So like anyone who comes in here, you can just like click this icon.
Okay, cool.
And
there it is.
All of these are fast travel locations, and you can teleport to them. Let me turn my sound on. So let's see here. I know you can hear like the ambiance right now of like the sand. It's actually like a little loud on my screen.
Oh, I can't even hear it. I don't know if everyone else can.
You can't?
No.
Oh, no worries. Okay. But it's really cool. I love the sound of the teleport. So that's like one of the things that I thought was super cool. Plus the visual animations. So this is like the Cyberpunk City. We actually had a contest. One of our first community contests was two different things. We had people create neon signs, and we had people create graffiti to add to our city. So I know Rustan created multiple graffiti. And so I think this is one of his right here. I know he has some on the backside too, but this is one of his pieces, and super cool that, people were able to do that and to create those, and, so we could add them and have like a unique touch on the city here. And let's see. So what else did I want to show you? Oh yeah. So upstairs, I'm going to show you the upstairs real quick. So right now we've got an elevator, but we're still working on getting it, back in order and all that. Yeah. So we've kind of got like that weird button, but there'd be a computer there instead. Yeah, kind of like mesmerizing.
It is. It's very trippy.
It's very trippy. Yeah, definitely. If you're too drunk, don't look up when you're coming up here. You might throw up. We've got like a little lab up here. So they've got like their science lab.
Nice.
And so, science is going to play a role in technology in the storyline. And so we've got, multiple different characters within these different factions, and they play a different role for their groups within those factions, from like maybe the lead scientist or, the faction leader or, the person who's in charge of like the defenses or, things like that. And so, show you these views. I mean, the views are pretty awesome from up here. You can see the glow of these containers here, these storefronts, and just really, it's a completely different world at night than it is during the day. So one other area that we've opened up just for like a little bit, of course it's, oh man, I don't know what happened here. Okay, so I just put these here the other day. I've been working on these like a few days ago, but there's supposed to be a table here and a table here. But so these are like some of the other things we're working on, just making another area up top. And I was actually like placing some of these things myself here with just like a quick tool that we created, threw together. But you know, this is, I think it's just a really interesting view to look out from kind of behind like a cybernetic window with the like the polygons in there.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah. And so I'm going to teleport over to the Dune Punks. I'm going to go over there real quick. So the Dune Punks, you know, like I said, they're a little more used to the harsh, you know, nature of the planet, and that's why they don't really need as much clothing. You know, the Cyberpunks are fully clothed, protected, and the Dune Punks, they're a little more, I don't say like nomadic, but they're, you know, they're more down to nature, like down to earth, like, and so they have tents. You know, they've got their tent stuff here, which, you know, there's pros and cons to that, right? So, you know, one of the issues that they're dealing with is crime. And so, you know, the lack of resources and people getting desperate, that there's, you know, there's been an increase in crime recently. And so there's petty thieves that have been known to hang out around these areas. And so luckily though, you know, they have this this tower, and it gives them a little protection from at least any invaders or anything else. And so there's multiple ways to get up. You can actually like parkour your way up through a variety of means, or you could take this elevator shaft kind of that we have here. And so I'm going to take it up to the next level real quick. So there's 2 different levels when you get up here. Once again, you know, more of the top views, and you can see they've got like telescopes. You know, they're more, like I said, like they're more into nature than the cyberpunks. You can see from like their the finishes, like what's here, just really kind of basic, kind of like cantina type stuff. They do have, this is kind of like more their technology room.
That's cool. So they have a little tech.
They've got a little bit of tech. You know, it's like, it's probably behind a little bit, you know, where the cyberpunks are, but they do use it. And then, you know, like I said, they've got a lab. So they've got their lab that's right here.
Nice.
And you can see all like the different books and stuff they have here. And you can see the architecture as well is a little more
really
emblematic.
I love it. I know that's the one part.
And Arconomus, you know, is the one.
I was gonna say he's the amazing builder behind it all.
He is. He did an incredible job with these. I mean, just gorgeous stuff. And so then we've got like some artifacts as well. And so, you know, one of the things is like excavation sites, and in the sand, you know, there's just like maybe in Egypt, you know, there's ancient civilizations of the past, and there's artifacts that, you know, can be found and that people value. And so there's definitely artifacts traders who, you know, who are around and who are willing to, you know, pay a handsome price or trade other items, you know, for these. And so that's a part of our storyline that we've decided to include in the scene. And this is like a workout room / like bunk room. You can tell they've got like these little hammocks. You know, they're more of like a military, you know, I don't know, like kind of style. They're used to living a lot closer together, maybe, and being more social than in the cyberpunks. And so one final thing I want to show you here. Let's see if it'll take me up. We do have a jail as well, and so I'll take you there real quick.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like people, you know, creating problems. You can see here, we've got our jail. And
so as a user, you'll be able to, somebody will put me in jail? if I do something bad.
Yeah. So like as of right now, we've got just some NPCs that are in there that are petty thieves that have broken. I would say not necessarily like laws, but who have been doing things they shouldn't have, and so the Doom Punks have detained them for a period of time. And so we are looking at incorporating players and some mechanics into having players be in a similar situation. And so I don't really want to say the ways that that's going to be done yet, but there's like 3 or 4 different ways we've been looking at, like how players would be put in there and like how they would get out. And so, but we're definitely wanting to incorporate that into our storyline and our mechanics as well for players to experience. So that's really, I say that's probably most of Angzaar. What questions, do you have any questions about Angzaar this time?
Oh, it's just really cool to see the evolution of it from like the first time I've been in here and what you guys have planned. And I'm excited to get in there and start playing. I'm trying to figure out which faction. I think I'm more of like I like them both though. That's the hard thing. What decides what faction you go into? You get to choose when you come in?
So I don't want to reveal too much, but we started out, there's like 5 quests
Okay.
those are our main storyline quests. And so it starts out like kind of like an introduction of, what is Angzaar and where are you, that type thing, and like, a little bit about the history. And then it gets a little deeper, and you start to kind of meet other characters that lead you through the story, and then introduce you to the different factions. And so the player throughout these 5 quests will be introduced to both of the factions. And so they will be working for both of the factions in those quests. Now, at the end, though, the player will have to make a decision on which one they're going to end up helping. And so that will, I would say, greatly influence, which one players start out with. That doesn't mean you can't be a part of both, because technically, you kind of are and am, but what you're able to do, and as far as like accessing information. So like we have different faction levels, just like we have like player levels. There's like 5 levels of faction with NPCs, and they're point based. And so that's going to be a part here of our stats. Or here we go, factions. So there's like, we'll call them ranks. There we go, instead of levels. So you can see there's like different reputations here. And so the different numbers determine like what your rank is. And these are not correct right now. These are just like random stuff. But it would be Angzaar, then it would be Cyberpunks and Doompunks. And so, if you want some of the best items with the Doompunks, you might have to be the highest rank in the Doompunks. And so it's going to take players time to do the activities and to earn the trust and to work their way up in the ranks of that faction. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do the same thing with the other faction. It's just, whoever you start out with you're going to have like a leg up, with that faction versus the other ones. And, there definitely will be some things as well down the line that are a negative hit, on the factions. And so when the player ends up making their decision at the end of that first one, it's going to negatively impact their one with the other faction in the beginning. And so they will have to work that up, and that will take time. So that's just, it's all of like what a player wants to do. It's kind of similar, like, once again, like I said, with EverQuest, the game I played growing up, is that in that game, there's an insane amount of factions. Like, even just the base, like, game that came out, the vanilla, there was like, I don't even know, dozens of different, or maybe a dozen different factions or something. Like, now most of them didn't matter, and they weren't really like related to cities per se, but those were a lot harder to work up and things like that. And so here, and some of them like were also very opposed in that game. And like, in order to really work up with some, you like had to ruin your faction with the other one. And so I didn't really quite want that here with these two to start, just because I just, really felt that players, I don't know, just it was kind of like a more hardcore gamified experience that I think maybe we wanted to start with. And so for now, we've made it so it's just a little easier for players down the line to really do both if they wanted to. And so, that's how, like I said, once again, that the wearables that I showed you earlier, how they're achieved, a lot of them are through earning the ranks and getting certain quests or having certain NPCs. Like when you go to a certain rank with, let's say, Dune Punks, some NPCs will only reveal certain information to you if you're a certain rank.
Yeah,
but you won't. Yeah, and so they'll say different things to you. If you're like, below rank 3, they may say like some random stuff to you that doesn't really matter, or who knows what. Just seems like random lore or background information. But then you go talk to that same NPC once you get rank 4 or 5. They may react differently to you, and they may offer you something as well. And so we've called those rumors.
Nice. Well,
I'm
sure everyone's the same as me. Can't wait to dive in and start exploring and playing.
Yes. And so we also have a wiki, which I want to share with you in case, anyone who's interested. Let's see if I can find it here.
Yeah, I remember you showed us a little bit about that earlier. I was hoping you were going to share that too with everyone.
I'm going to share that link because this is, it's massive, just so you know. Hold on one sec. Of course, I'm linking the wrong one. Give me one moment. I had just changed our wiki, so the address changed in the URL.
Yeah, and if anybody in the audience has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or post in the chat, whatever you want. You can come up, ask away, or...
Let's totally bring someone up if someone has questions while I'm doing this.
Yeah. This is where we need Fifi to come in and sing, right? Anytime there's silence.
All right, I got it now. Okay, so yes, it definitely. So we've got like Star Wars vibes. Yep, totally. Star Wars, I would definitely say, is a huge influence on this. Just like I said, Mando earlier. The desert. What's ironic is, a lot of people. I've been listening to like other game designers and developers from like indie stuff and MMOs, and they say that the hardest thing to do for environment scenes to create is deserts. They say that is the hardest thing to create, and it's just because usually they're pretty empty and things like that. And as far as like filling them with the right things and getting it all to line up, it can just be very difficult. And so, I think that we did an incredible, if that is the hardest one to do, I think we did an incredible job. And so, if we started with that, it's just all easier from here.
No, this is cool. And so the purpose of the wiki is, again, to document everything, and for any new user, especially coming in once the gameplay is up, to kind of get like a backstory, and also for the development of the project, correct?
Yeah. So like,
there's a lot of info. Really, wow, this is substantial. There is. I'm just scrolling through it.
Yeah, it's either 350 or 450 pages.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, I mean, that's how in-depth the game is. And, we understand, that people, may get frustrated, don't want to spend a lot of time like learning stuff or whatever it is, like on their own, just from like running around or whatever it is. And so, I really wanted to create a very vast resource and wiki. And so this wiki, really has like everything in there pretty much. It doesn't have like everything, but it's got like 90-something% of all the content. And just for people to try to understand like what everything is. And, while it has so many pages and it may be, seem overwhelming, we do have like a frequently asked questions area. We've kind of got like an overview on there. And then, it's easily searchable as well. And so, really what I would recommend is if like, there's just one thing or two things you want to just specifically learn more about, the best way to do it is just to do the search and pull it up, because it's all there, and it really it should pull up the page like immediately and give you the exact information you're looking for. And, we didn't really want people to be, asking a million different questions in the Discord that, when they could really, have a resource to do so. And so, because, we may not be available all the time and
totally.
things like that. And in addition to that, we don't really have a huge community yet either, right? To have like other players teach other players. And that's like in video games, that's how a lot of people learned, at least when I was playing.
Have you guys thought of training an AI with this wiki? That would be fun. I know other communities do that. It's fun.
Yeah. So, a couple different things. Number one, that's one of the reasons why I wrote the wiki. And I think I've spent, I don't even know how many hundreds of hours. I've spent probably 400 on it or something now, just the wiki. But the goal of that, was to save time later.
Yeah, totally.
And so that we could feed it and train an AI with that.
Cool. That would be fun. Usually it's funny because like the ones I've seen in different communities, it's like they add the personality of the space is in the AI. So it's just kind of like, that could be a lot of fun,
Yeah.
It gets
and
you
actually,
in the mood and the spirit of the game, It's like layer one.
Yes. And so another thing we're looking at is, adding our wiki. We originally were going to have it integrated in here. Now, I don't know if we're still going to do that or not. Now, right now, I think this may just be a link of what it's going to be. But originally, we were wanting to have it included in world, right? Just so that people wouldn't have to go outside of it to go. Unfortunately, I think it's just probably going to be too difficult. We'll see at this time. But that's exactly what we're looking for. And just like you had brought up, the personality of the AI, when I was writing, all these different characters that are in our game, that are the different NPCs, which people will meet that are not, you can't see them right now. They all have their own personalities, and they all have certain archetypes that I, picked out of the generic archetypes of characters. And so if you look up character archetypes, now a lot of them are combinations of them, or percentages, to where they're maybe 33% this and 33% that, or two-thirds this, or 50% this, 50% that. But you can see those subtle differences between the characters. And you've got, caregiver and creator and explorer, and you got the hero, right? And you've got the innocent, and then, this is the player, right? And the player is also, the NPCs treat the player as an archetype going through the quest lines, if that makes any sense as well.
Yeah, totally.
So you've got every story and movie pretty much uses the same thing, which is the hero's journey. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if you're familiar with the hero's journey or not.
Definitely. Joseph Campbell. Love Joseph Campbell.
And so that's, really what we went off of was something like that. And so the player, also goes through this. And that was the goal, is to send the player through this and then have them feel that as they're going through their journey and interacting with these different, unique personality NPCs. And so we really wanted to make it as real as possible and make it, an immersive video game and experience. So, yeah, that's...
No, love that. I mean, it's an immense amount of work. That's why it's so fun to have you here diving into your contribution to this massive project. Because everyone, there's so many people on your team, all of them doing such specific work within here. And you being the project manager, you have your hands in every kind of aspect of it, really.
Yes. And that's really, I've been very fortunate that, I've learned so much from working with, all of our incredible artists and team members. Everyone is just so creative and helpful, and it's really just been an amazing journey. I've learned, in the real world, you go to college, right? And you're I learned all this stuff in college, or, I don't really feel like I learned a ton in class, but most of my stuff I think I learned out of class. But when you graduate, or when I graduated, I got in the real world, I was wait, I didn't really learn anything. That's because when you do stuff, like for me, like when I do things, that's when I'm actually really learning.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and
I
I
learn by doing
and I
too. I'm like you.
yeah, and that's how I learned, for this project. And so right now I'm in our cantina. I just want to show you this. This is called the Mirage, and this is kind of our bar and social area. And we've got like when the NPCs are showing up, or if we've got like different levels. Like when we created this scene, I wanted two different things. So number one, I wanted to make it accessible, or as accessible as possible as we could for everyone, by making our resources as efficient as possible from all the assets and that kind of stuff. This right now is like 270 megabytes for our scene, just to give an idea, for these 400 parcels. And I'll tell you though that the megabytes really isn't that long to load. What a lot of scenes, not ours, my opinion, that they struggle with is it's like poly count and something else. And so ours is really well optimized, as well as like, I don't want to say lazy loading, but loading different areas. Mm-hmm. And it really is very smooth and efficient as far as the base experience. And what I've done as well, or what I did, I kind of went hardcore, like overboard, just trying to see how much I could push Decentraland's limits and our scene's limits. And so for maybe people who have like the most insane PCs out there, or maybe sometime in the future, we've got an option in the settings for NPCs. And so I don't think they show up right now. We'll see if they do. But okay, yeah, maybe they will show up.
Oh, and so turn it off and on. That's nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we've got two different types of NPCs. So we've got like our base NPCs that are the ones that are kind of essential to the game, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And then we've got like other more filler NPCs that aren't really required for anything. And in addition to that, what else am I gonna say? And we've got like in the hub, most of them are in the hub, if that makes any sense, like where I am. And so it's just to add more of like outside characters and people to the scene for more diversity. And a lot of it actually involves Decentraland stuff. So like these are Decentraland creators, like wearables, and there's Easter eggs and stuff like that, and funny stuff, and people talking about other places in Decentraland, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And so you could talk to like some of these characters, and they'll be talking about other scenes. Like there's a DG guy, he's talking about the losing money at the casino or whatever it is, or gambling at the casino, and all that kind of stuff. And so unfortunately the wearables and stuff really aren't showing up at this second, but the Coliseum is actually full of them as well. So we actually have people in the Coliseum. And so I was able to, number one, all these people have lines. They've got like an average of like 4 lines. There's 180 NPCs. And then I dressed them and used like 600 wearables. I went through every wearable in Decentraland. And then for a brief time, we got the emotes to work, to where like, this stage, like the singer would be singing and moving around. Then we had like dancers dancing all around, her. And so all of that was going and working. Unfortunately, at some point that broke. I don't know if it was like changes on DCLs then or what, or if it's just too much data. I'm not quite sure. But, my hope is that eventually we can get that working again in Decentraland, because it's really cool just to see the scene alive. And that's really what it feels like.
And Butter has some cool questions for you if you want to look in the chat.
Yes. So if people talk on one side of the scene, so I think, Butters, I just want to understand. So are you talking about like from a player of the voice in Decentraland? Is that, I'm guessing maybe that's what you're talking about? Because as far as text works, the text, number one, we have an Angzaar channel. Yeah, so like as of right now, we've got, we're kind of limited, I think, to the sound issues of Decentraland within the scene, as far as players, voice communicating, to other players. And so, no, they will probably not hear you, unfortunately. We do have our Discord in which people can hang out in, and we have a voice chat in there. And so people could use that. In addition, we've got our Angzaar channel that we just created. So this is here, and we've got our Angzaar channel. And then, I don't know if any of you saw it previously. Supposedly, I thought it was in, but maybe it's not. I know Lasher just finished it today. He probably didn't, or he said he might have, but he was working on it. We have another chat that actually, you can see, it comes like right here where my mouse is, and it's like expandable or collapsible. And what it is it's actually a text chat that syncs with our Discord. And so you can chat with people, text-wise in our Discord. In addition to that, some of the in-world stuff that's occurring will also go into this chat box. So some of the original, hold on one sec. Oh, shoot. My headset's dying. One sec. So some of the original NPCs, some of the original MMOs, or before them, were MUDs, MUDs, multi-user dungeons, and they were all text-based. And so that's kind of where we got the idea for that. And so hold on one sec while I reset my headset.
Well, and also, just to give you a heads up, Mease at 12:30, I have to run to pick up my kid.
Well, maybe we'll call it. Yeah.
No, but we have 15 more minutes, but I would love to have you finish answering Butter's questions, which are great.
So someone walked to the other side, the red, I'll have to know about the red dot. Sorry, I don't know about that. As far as the map can't zoom right now. This is the map. I know the player's red dot, should show up on there once we get it going, but that's all I really know for now. Yeah. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, my headset's dying, and I have to probably literally exit Discord and come right back.
Oh, no worries.
So just give me 1 second. Yeah.
This is where I need my background music again. Thank you guys for sticking out. I know usually these sessions sometimes go for, if you guys have been with Malloy, 5 hours. This is a short session compared to the 5-hour session. But yeah, usually I love to re-listen to these and just chill and work with just people talking in the background. Probably you guys are doing the same. But if anybody else has any other questions before we start wrapping up. Oh, I post them all up on the DAO YouTube channel under Brick by Brick Builders Club. Here, let me get you the link for that right now. Oh, he beat me.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, my AirPods are getting so old; they really don't last. They don't last long anymore. Are you able to hear me well?
Yep. I was just telling Butter the playlist for Brick by Brick Builders Club. I just pasted that as well.
Excellent. Yeah. So unfortunately, Butters. So if someone walks the other side of the scene, I don't know if you'll be able to see other players or not on the other side. Maybe you will within our UI here. I know that the player, your red dot will show where you are on the map once we get that back working again. And so it will show your location at all times. Like I said earlier, though, the voice chat thing in World for Decentraland, we're limited by theirs, which is your location based, and the further you are, I believe, from them. In addition to any other current problems that may exist, we have those as well. And so the map right now, this is our map for the scene, and it does show the whole scene. So there is no zoom feature, though, unfortunately, within the UI of ours for that. And I can't remember. There's something else I was going to say here. So we've got the Discord. We've got the chat that goes through the Discord. I was talking about the multi-user dungeons, how they are text-based. And we're looking at trying to incorporate, maybe text commands somehow in the future as well. And, some of the things in other video games I played in Decentraland, maybe you get a message, in the UI that pops up that says, you completed this quest or whatever it is, or you got a certain number of experience, or you got this item. But it disappears pretty quickly. Sometimes maybe you're fighting an enemy, you miss it, or something else happens. Maybe you want to know, right? And so that box that's going to exist over here that's collapsible, that is going to be an excellent place for that. And so I think that's going to be a really cool addition, in addition to being able to communicate with players in the Discord while you're in world. So, someone could be just on their phone somewhere and seeing what's going on. And so eventually, maybe there's a special event or something that's happening, and players are like hitting up other people in Discord to see, if that special enemy is up or whatever it is it may be.
Love it. Well, thank you, Mease. This is awesome. I know we could hang out here all day and talk. I definitely have to have you back on once everything launches, and so we can go in there and just have a play session. We can call it a different type of Discord event. Everyone just come and play around and run around. Hopefully create factions and, start gathering all the goodies that you're displaying. But thank you for sharing your story and your inspiration to how you got into Decentraland, your lore creation, your awesome AI tooling. And yeah, I really can't. I'm looking forward to also your Christmas event, which you said you've been spending a ton of time for. When is that launching? You're on mute again. There you go. Oh, I can't.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, your breakup, I know I missed all that, but I know what you said. I got all of it. So thank you so much for having me. And hopefully you can hear at least what I'm saying. And I really appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, we've got our wiki right now, which is awesome. We've got December 20th is when our Christmas stuff is coming up. So be on the lookout for that, just our Twitter account. So I'm going to link our Twitter account real quick so that you all have that. And then just be on the lookout. Like I said, December 20th through 23rd, we're doing 3 days of events. And then hopefully, around the very beginning of the year, we will hopefully be completed to where we can have our gamification up and running and people can come play around with, most of the stuff in the scene.
Wonderful. Love it. Wow. Very cool. Are you guys doing anything for Thanksgiving on the land, or just a bunch of wild turkeys let loose? That would be fun. Oh, you're on mute again, Mease.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I missed all of that, but I guess this thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll just end it here. Thank you.
I know this is when the technical issues start arising. It's all good, but thanks everyone for coming out and joining us, and I will have this hopefully up.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the awesome questions. We hope to see you in Angzaar. Take care.
Okay. Until next time. Bye, everyone.